Okay, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
So thank you so much for being here with us tonight, and we thank those that are watching at home. So tonight will be a little bit different than our normal service. As many of you know, this week Jews around the world, and especially in the land of Israel, commemorated Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day. And we in our community a number of years ago, in order to have the most of our community present, decided to connect our commemoration of Yom HaShoah on a Shabbat evening, which presents something of a challenge, because on the one hand, Yom HaShoah understandably demands of us a certain kind of attention, a certain kind of emotional consciousness, and as one can imagine, a space for ourselves, again, spiritually, emotionally, and beyond, to allow us to even begin to comprehend the horrors and the repercussions of the Shoah. At the same time, Shabbat itself is one of the few things in Judaism that overrides pretty much anything else. And Shabbat has one really important requirement, which is to celebrate it with joy. So how do you have a service on the one hand that speaks about the Holocaust and on the other hand celebrates the joy of Shabbat? So our answer is not perfect, but the way in which we will approach it is to have our honored guest, Judy Sleed, who's going to, I'm going to introduce properly in a moment, to speak about her experience in the Shoah and just to share with us the story of her life as much as, Judy, you feel comfortable sharing with us tonight. For us to then do as we have done for a number of years, to light candles for the 6 million Jews, and then an additional candle for the additional lives taken during the Shoah, in which we'll have a number of the members of our community to participate in that. We'll have a little bit of a musical accompaniment by Cantor Kevin to help us to sort of set our intention, and to give a little bit of space between this acknowledgement of Yom HaShoah and then our movement into Shabbat with the lighting of our Shabbat candles, and our service that will largely be the same service that it regularly is, minus one thing, which is no sermon. The sermon is Judy this evening. So the challenge for us, both those that are with us here tonight and those watching at home, is how to hold these two spaces together, and how to be in these two emotional states. And I think the reality is that is what we as Jews have to do each and every day, is to somehow acknowledge and hold on to what in many cases are the heartbreaking moments of our history, and certainly the uniquely horrible experience of the Shoah, and at the same time to never forget our core obligation in our tradition to celebrating Shabbat with the greatest capacity that we have. So we're going to do this all together, but we are going to begin, as I said, with our honored speaker for this evening, Judy Sleed. And Judy, I'm not going to give you too much of an introduction because we want to hear the story from you directly, but those that know you know that you have been a fixture here on the East End for certainly decades at this point. And for many years also hosted a television show on LTV, correct? Talking to some of the preeminent minds of the East End. So many people in this room maybe know you without you knowing them. But what a privilege it is truly to have you here with us tonight and to share some of your story. And my gratitude to your friend sitting next to you, to Shelley Lichtenstein, our executive director, for making those arrangements, and for helping us to do, again, what is a sacred task, to honor, to remember, and of course, to never forget. So Judy, if you would do us the honor of joining us up here, I'm going to come and help you to get up here. First, we'll make sure everybody can hear you okay.
Testing.
I think
1, 2, 3.
Everybody okay? Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Judy, I'll be right behind you if you need me.
Okay. So you tell me when I should start my narrative. Okay. And Sarah, you have the hook?
There's no hook.
No.
You speak from the heart.
Well, she told
Only for me.
only for. I always say, am I coming through? Okay. So, shall I start? Okay, my name is Judy Sleed, which is not a very Jewish name. I was born as Weinberger in Budapest, Hungary. And the results of the bad part of the Holocaust didn't reach Budapest until like March of 1944. But before that, for years in different European countries where Jews were persecuted. But I didn't know anything about it because any times anytime anything political conversation came around, my mother would close my ears. She would put her hands to my ears. And as far as I was concerned, everything was hunky-dory. There was nothing bad was happening in the world. My father had a leather goods store where shoemakers would come and make shoes, because in those days you didn't have, hardly anybody had ready-made shoes. So I always had custom-made shoes. And I had an older brother. He was 4 years older, Tommy. And we lived very modestly it was a modest apartment. It was a big room, a kitchen, a hallway, and a bathroom. So I could say I had a very happy childhood. And around March of 1944, we had to move. My mother said, we're just going to move to a different apartment. We lived in, Budapest is divided by the Danube. We used to live in Pest, a little geography lesson. And then we had to move to Buda in a lady's house in one of her rooms. We were all there. And I didn't know much. I was sort of sensing something was wrong with the Jews, because there was this very nice elderly gentleman. We used to call him doctor, because that was, I don't know what he was a doctor of, but the Nazis came and they knocked on his door. And then he came out and he said, well, let me go back and get my shoes. And they said, you don't need your shoes. So later on, I heard a gunshot, and I found out that they shot him in the yard. So then, my mother couldn't tell me that nothing happened. It was right there in my face. So every once in a while, my father would leave, and my mother would say that he's going to work in the army, or he's going to the army, but then he would come back. And when was that? October 20th in 1944, some soldiers came and they said, we want all the men between the ages of 16 and 50 to come with us. Well, my father was going to be 50. This was in October. He was going to be 50 in June. And my brother was going to be 16 in November. But my mother thought, she was very optimistic, that he should go with my father. So they left. And then there was a notice that on October the 23rd, which was on a Monday, all women between the ages of 16 and 50 should report to a train station. So the night before, she said goodbye to me and said, don't worry, you're a good girl. People are gonna treat you well, and I'll come back. Well, of course, I've never seen them again. And then I was there, with other people who lived in the house. And then like a week later, again, the soldiers came, and all the Jews should come with them. So I just packed up. I can't even remember what I packed up, but then we walked across one of the, what do you call it, over the bridge, one of the bridges. And they put us in a bombed out house. And over there, they came around, they confiscated all valuables from everybody. And they gave orders here and there. And then I looked around, and then nobody gave any more orders. So I noticed that there was a hole in a wall. And I said to myself, I should investigate and see if I could fit through it. So there I went, and I didn't even look back because I felt, what else can they do to me if they find me? So I walked through that wall, and I find myself on the street in Budapest. And then I just started walking around, and nobody came after me. And then I remembered the address of some relatives, especially my cousin Ava, who was taking care of her mother, and she purchased papers, that she's not Jewish. A lot of people did that, not my mother. My mother was very optimistic that nothing bad is going to happen to us. Well, anyway, I found cousin Ava, and then when she couldn't take me where she was living, but she found me a building where they housed children, and it was protected by the Swiss government, and there was a Swiss flag from that window. And we were very lucky that neither the Nazis nor the bombs found that building. And that's where I was when the war ended. And again, my cousin Ava found me, and then she put me in a home in Buda, where it was a Zionist home. All the kids, the aim was to go to Israel. So there was a lot of kids there, and we used to sing all the time to forget about what bad things happened to us. And she would come and visit me, and she told me that they're going to go to Israel, and I would go with them, and I didn't want to go because I was waiting for my family to come back. After all, the war was over. Why wouldn't they come back? But we left. We left from the first stop was Vienna, then Germany, then Italy. And that's about, in a nutshell, what happened during the war. And if you have any questions about what happened afterwards, because I'm still here, I wonder many times, I never thought that I would live this long. I was 90, I'm going to be 91 in a couple of weeks. And lately, I got married. I had 3 children, and now that I'm 90, I have nothing to do, so I have a lot of time on my hand, and all these painful memories come back. And I'm sorry my son couldn't come with me, because he always, every once in a while, he says, "Mom, you're making noises." Well, what happens is I think of this painful memory, and then this sigh just comes from my soul, like, oh, and it just, I cannot deal with it. It's just, it's an effort not to think about how I keep thinking about how my mother must have felt that she had to leave her little girl behind, and she knew she couldn't help me, and she couldn't help her son either. And when she finally realized that she's going to perish, and my cousin, I had a favorite cousin. I used to call him Duty Bundy. and his name was just Bundy, but he had an older brother named Judy. And my mother would say, "We're going to visit Judy Bundy." And Judy was never there, so I thought his name was Judy Bundy. We're going to visit Judy Bundy. And then he was he loved me. When we used to go visit him, and I said, my mother used to go and visit because she liked his mother. And he would teach me. One of the rooms was his office, and he allowed me to go in there. And nobody else was allowed to go in there. I was allowed to go in there even when he wasn't home. And he taught me the words to "Over the Rainbow." And he had a girlfriend, Edie. And then during the persecution, he also got papers to see, that he's not Jewish, and he had this apartment. He thought he was safe there. And what I heard was somehow they got hold of his girlfriend, for Edie, and I guess they asked her somebody's address, and she blurted out Bundy's address. So I could just keep thinking about when he opened the door and he saw the Nazis there, how he must have felt, because he thought he was safe. Of course, he wasn't. He's gone with the rest of them. So, what else would you like to know? Do you?
Okay. Have you been back to Budapest?
Once. My daughter, Jody, took me back, and I was just walking the streets. I didn't know a soul. I didn't find anybody I knew. I went to visit the Dohain Temple, where they had a lot of memories there, and a lot of fake trees with leaves with people's names on it.
First of all, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's just important for everyone to remember what happened. And I wanted to know, when did you go to Israel? And when and under what circumstances did you come to America?
Well, that's a story by itself. Yeah, well, I was with a Zionist organization, and I fell in love with George, who was 4 years older than me. Like, I was like 15 and he was like 17 or 18. And then he says, "I'm not going to Israel. I have relatives in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I'm going there." So I said, "Oh boy, you have relatives in Brazil? I have relatives in the US, in North America. Then I'm going there." And I thought we would be neighbors. Yeah, and that's how I got here, because he didn't want to go to Israel. So, and I had relatives here who they were making papers for me, the affidavit and all that. And then I left the Zionist organization, and that was in Rome. In Cinecittà, they had a DP camp. That's where I was. I had to wait like a year before I got my visa. And that's how I got here. And it took 7 days to cross the Atlantic. And my cousin Claire and Uncle Julius were waiting for me at the pier, and I couldn't find my luggage, and I wouldn't get off the boat, the ship. And Claire kept saying with her broken Hungarian, "Don't worry, we'll get you anything you want." But my luggage was letters from my friends, which they couldn't buy me. So I just waited, and I still have the 2 boxes of those letters.
Did you settle in New York once you came to the United States? When you first came to the United States, where did you live?
483 East Houston Street. Yeah, it's not there anymore.
Well, Judy, thank you so much for sharing your story, and as Fran said, how important, how essential it really is. So I
You're
don't want you to go
welcome.
too far. Stay right where you are for a moment. As we have done for the last number of years, we have 7 candles here set up, 6 for the 6 million and 1 for the others that were taken as well. And we have a few different people who are going to help us to light those candles. We're hoping that you will be one of those people.
Oh, I'd like to.
Very nice. So stay right there. I'm going to invite up our other 6 to help us as well. So if at this point, I'm going to invite actually everybody up all together, and we'll invite each one individually. But if I can invite up Dr. John Oppenheimer, Shelley Lichtenstein, who's going to be lighting in memory of Anita Sheldon, Lauren Tepper, who is one of the co-chairs of our Temple's Anti-Semitism Committee, Alyssa Peak, who is a co-chair of our Temple's Social Justice Committee, Sandra Dubin, who is a Holocaust educator and helped to bring the remarkable program we had last year. And then to acknowledge those from outside of Judaism, we're honored tonight that Josie Getling, our very own Josie, is going to light as well. So again, we'll get all 7 of us together, and one by one, and for those that are lighting, depending on your comfort, either old school matches or a torch of this sort. And Judy, if you do the honors of being our first to light, that would be wonderful. So Shelley, you're going to light next, and in memory of one of our dear friends, Anita Sheldon.
This is for Anita, who shared her story. She was a Holocaust survivor, and we all miss her.
Now, Lauren, if you'd do us the honor of the next. Listen. ask all of us to turn to page 533 in our prayer books and to ask everyone to rise in body or in spirit. And we'll join together in reciting this special Kaddish L'Yom HaShoah that was created, in which the traditional language of the Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish, is interspersed with the names of many of the locations in which the vast majority of lives were taken during the Shoah. So if you can, again, at all points, to please join with me and to join with the cantor as well. Again, page 533. Yitkadal Auschwitz, V'yitkadash Lod, Shemei Rabbah Ponar, Be'alma Divra Chirutei Babayar, V'yamlich Malchutei Maidanik, B'chayechon u'v'yomechon Birkenau, V'chaye Dechol Beit Israel Kovna, Ba'agala V'zman Kariv Yanoska, V'imru Amen. Yehe Shemei Rabba Mevarach La'alam U'li'almei Amaya. Yitbarach V'yishtabach Theresienstadt. V'yitpa'ar V'yitramam Buchenwald. V'yitnaseh V'yithadar Treblinka. V'yit'aleh V'yithalal Vilna. Shemei Dekudsha Brichu. Bergen-Belsen. Le'ela Mauthausen. Min kol birchata v'shirata Dachau. Tushbechata v'nechemata Minsk. Da'amiran be'alma Warsaw. V'yimru Amen. Yehi Shalama Rabba Min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'yimru Amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh Shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'yimru Amen. We say Zichronam livracha. May all of their memories be a blessing. So we'll now ask our candle lighters can find their seats. Judy, just if you can stay with us just for another moment or so. And Cantor Kevin, I'm going to give you back your Siddur, who's going to give us a little bit of music to help us to process the change, the shift, as I mentioned, from commemorating Yom HaShoah to our celebration of Shabbat. And I invite us, as we hear the words and contemplate their meaning, and just simply to hear the melody, and as it penetrates your heart, to hold the memories with us, and to hear these words again, to waken us to the sad truth that the responsibility, as hard as and challenging as it is to us to remember, will be with us for eternity, because we will, in fact, never forget. Cantor?
The words can be found on page 653 in your prayer book, if you need them. שלא ייגמר לעולם, לכל והים, רשרוש של המים, ברק השמיים, תפילת האדם, החול והים, רשרוש של המים, ברק השמיים, תפילת האדם. Oh God, my God, I pray that these things never end. The sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash the prayer of the heart, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of the heart.
Please be seated. So now as we transition into Shabbat and to all of the joy and the celebration, we're really very touched that Judy's dear friend Sarah Blue is going to help. And Judy and Sarah are going to help us to light our Shabbat candles now as we transition ourselves. So right behind you, as a matter of fact, and I'll tell you what, I'll do the lighting part if you guys want to help with the blessing part. Let me get the microphone so we can all hear. Okay, yeah, I'll take care of that part. You guys just do the blessing. Sarah, if you need, it's on page 120 in our prayer books. Yeah, technology, right? So.
Ta Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvasu
v'tzivanu shel Shabbat.
Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
Judy, thank you so much for being with us tonight. And I should just say, Judy mentioned to me, for those that are with us here tonight, that she brought some pictures, some additional things to see. So after the service is over, Judy, if I don't want to stress you or tax you too much, but if you were willing, I'm sure there would be some people who would love to be able to speak more with you and to see those pictures.
Yes, there was a documentary being done on my life. So the lady who is filming, she used all those pictures. So they are not in order, but I just brought the whole bunch. If you want to, there's pictures of my family and even me as a baby. And I thought people would like to see it.
It's beautiful. Judy, I'm going to help you come back down to the stage. Cantor, if you could get us started on page 130 with Kabbalat Shabbat. And I think actually that we should go around the corner right here. It'll be a little bit
Continue with Yismechu Hashamayim on the bottom of the following page, page 131. Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, B'tagel haaretz, Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, B'tagel haaretz. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Umelo Yiram hayam, yiram hayam, yiram hayam umelo. Yismechu hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz.
We'll turn now to page 132, at the very bottom of the page.
Or zarua atzadik u'yishrei lev simcha. Or zarua atzadik u'yishrei lev simcha. Or zarua atzadik u'yishrei lev simcha. U'yishrei lev simcha. Or zarua atzadik u'yishrei lev simcha. U'yishrei lev simcha. Ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la ya la ya la, ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la la la.
We'll turn now to page 134, the very top of the page.
Zamru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor v'kol zimra, v'chatzotzrot v'kol shofar. Hariu ifnei hamelech Adonai, hiram hayam u'melot, tevel ve'yoshvei var, ve'harot imcha uchaf yachad, harim yiranenu, לפני אדוני קיווה, לשפוט הארץ, לשפוט תבל בצדק, ועמים במישרים. ירם הים ומלוא, תבל ויושבי בר, והרות עמך וכף יחד, הרים ירננו.
We're now on page 135, Romamu, which is the last Hebrew paragraph in the middle of the page.
רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להר קודשו.
We'll turn now to Lachadodi on page 138. And a reminder, we'll do the first, second, fifth, and ninth paragraphs. And for the final paragraph, for those that are with us here tonight, we'll rise and face towards the rear of the room. Again, page 138.
לך תודי לקראת כלה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך תודי לקראת כלה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, בני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור ודיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. וחתותי לקראת כלה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, בני שבת נקבלה. וחתותי לקראת כלה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. וחתותי לקראת כלה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, בני שבת נקבלה. וחתותי לקראת כלה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי. אורי אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. וחתותי לקראת כלה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, בני שבת נקבלה. וחתותי לקראת כלה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה בואי חלה. וחתותי לקראת כלה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, בני שבת נקבלה. וחתותי לקראת כלה, יאללה יאללה יאללה, בני שבת נקבלה.
I was going to say,
Very
you'll
soon.
be dancing before you know it. Page 140. Page 140.
צדיק כתמר יפרח, כארז בלבנון יזכה. שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו. עוד ינובון בשיבה, דשנים ורעננים יהיו, להגיד כי אשר אדוני צורי ולא עוולת בו.
now rise for the Chatzi Kaddish in body or in spirit on page 144. Yitkadal veyitkadash shemei Rabba
Amen.
Alma divrach yirutei v'amlich machutei B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael Bagala uvizman kariv veimeru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach Le'alam li'al maya yitbarach Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudsha
Barichu.
Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata benechemata tamiran be'alma ve'imeru Amen. Remain standing for the Baruch Hu on page 146. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam vaed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam vaed. Please be seated. We'll read together now on the bottom of page 149 in English. This is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over?
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבי.
Amen. Please join me on the bottom of page 150 in English. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Please join us on page 154. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם emet. Let's turn to page 157. We'll do a slightly different reading tonight, alternating back and forth on the bottom of page 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
Mi Chamocha on the top of page 158.
נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו. אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. נאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל 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 ישראל.
Let's read together on the top of page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. You join Cantor Kevin on page 160, Hashkibein.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ושמור צאתנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים.
Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over your Shalim. We'll turn to page 162, Vishamru, at the very top of the page.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. איי 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 ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת שבת ויהי נפש.
I'll invite us now to rise in body or in spirit, and we'll begin the Amidah together on page 164, and as always from there we'll continue silently. Before we begin, just one small word on the bottom of page 163, a very famous quote from the brilliant writer Achad Ha'am, thinker and writer. More than the Jewish people has kept Shabbat, Shabbat has kept the Jewish people. Keep those words in mind as we begin our Amidah again on page 164, and then continue silently from there.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise.
Say shalom bimroman, huya say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom bimromav, huya say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom bimromav, huya say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom bimromav, huya say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
We'll turn now to page 371 to offer our Misha Berach, our healing prayer for this evening. Tonight, we are thinking in our community of Bentzi Tepper, Allison Luckman, Malka Bat Chaya Sura, Michael Klinghoffer, Ame and Warren Cass, Rivka Bat Rachel, Leah Bat Naomi, Gedalia Ben Sylvia, Lorraine Danis, David Dowling, Sivya Devora Bat Francis, Muriel Hirsch, Michelle Sawicki, Francis Kirschman, Shelley Newmark, Diane Axelrod, Gabriella Rose Spicer, Barbara Kushner, David Klopman, Lorraine Davis, Devora Batsima, Rebecca Snyder, Jeffrey Miller, Shelley Lyman, Deborah Block-Kroll, Sylvia Orns, Karen Layton, Debbie Bookfar, Carol Javna, Lori Nisanoff, Rebecca Rubin, Deborah and John Fogarty, Kate Kessler, Hilda Mintz, John Mahoney, Kim Birnbaum, Moshe Ben Yosef, Moishe Jakovowitz, Ann Baker, David Ben Barzilai, Dr. Samuel Moskowitz, and Alan Weinstein. In addition to the names that we just read aloud, we'll invite those at home to say the names of your loved ones as well, and those that are with us here tonight, if you have additional names to share, just raise a hand so we make sure that I get everyone. We'll start from the front towards the rear. We'll join with Cantor Kevin on page 371, the middle of the page.
May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us Lavotenu, bless those in need of healing with refuah shema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
So, as I reminded everyone at the beginning, our evening is a little different tonight in that our Darshanit, Judy, who gave us our teaching for this evening through the remarkable words of your memory, Judy, your life, what you shared with us. These are the most powerful words that anybody could offer from this space tonight. So I'm grateful to you again for sharing yourself, sharing your heart, sharing everything that you are about, Judy. What a privilege it has been to invite you to our community, and we look forward to having you back again in other times and other capacities as well. But our gratefulness to you, our gratitude to you, and to all of the survivors who continue to share your stories, to teach the next generation, not just of our people, but of the world, that there is still much work to be done. Still much work to be done. We are, however, going to mark, as we have been, the counting of the days of the Omer, as we count from our experience of leaving our enslavement in Egypt and reaching eventually in the holiday of Shavuot in a few weeks, the receiving of the Torah at the foot of Mount Sinai. So we will turn to page 570. We'll rise in body or in spirit as we count the Omer for this evening. I'll invite you to join along with me. Again, page 570. Hineni mukhan umizuman lekayem mitzvat aseh shel sfirat haomer. I am ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sefirat haomer. Our praise to you, Adonai, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to count the Omer. Hayom shisha asar yom shehem shnei shavuot u'shnei yamim la'omer. Today marks 16 days, which are 2 weeks and 2 days of the Omer. Remain standing as we turn to page 586 at the bottom of the page. Aleinu l'shabeach. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishbechot ha'adama, shelo samach elkeinu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam, vanahachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Page 591. V'nehemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and of death. I'll invite those in mourning, those observing yahrzeit, to please remain standing. Everyone else may be seated at this time. We think in our community of those who've passed in recent months: Martin Blake, Morty Schwatzky, Beverly Deshevsky, Sandy Greenwald, Dorothy Klein, Buddy Kossoff, Emmanuel Kiprios, David Lieberman, Norma Paulsek, Marvin Schreier, Sandy Slip, Larry Warter, Rita Weitzman, and Yael Zerdar. We also mark the yahrzeits that occurred during the last week for Sandra Traeger, Muriel Binder, Stuart Danoff, Ralph Davis, Dora Field, Nancy Fisher, Hugh France, Goldie Friedman, Sylvia Goldsmith, Abraham Goldstein, Ruth Grossman, Jason Gruen, Florence Hirsch, Gerald Cass, Jane Beard Cass, Marilyn Cones, Marcia Cooper Smith, Sally Krause, Miriam Krotman, Corinne Lamchick, Arthur Levy, Jack Morris Lieberbaum, Rose Mazel, Sidney Mazel, Nathan Meyerson, Margie Pollock, Frida Rafe, Rose Rosenberg, Benjamin Schwab, Aaron Spitzer, Ruth Whitelaw, Morris Wolf, Ronnie Zucker, and Sadie Zucker. In addition to the names that we just read, if anyone else is saying Kaddish for anyone that we did not mention, can mention their names now. I'll invite those. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry. I'll invite those watching at home to add the names of your loved ones as well. I'll invite the mourners to join with me on page 598 and to rise as is your custom. Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach la'alam u'li'almei almaya. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh. Ve'yithadar ve'yit'aleh ve'yithalal shemei dekudsha berichu.
Berichu.
Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen.
Amen.
Yehi shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen.
Amen.
Zichronam livracha, may every one of their memories be for blessing. Okay, please be seated, and Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
As I told you at the outset, it's a challenging space to be in, right? It's a challenging evening to try to imagine ourselves moving so quickly from a conversation around the Shoah to a joyful, celebratory, music-filled, thank you, Cantor Kevin, for that, by the way, kind of experience. But, you know, I've been thinking about this more and more, not to give another sermon when I told you I wouldn't, but it's not in any way the same. But there was a question that arose, theologically speaking, when the state of Israel was created, what one does on Tisha B'Av, right, on the day in which we commemorate the destructions of the temples and the expulsion from the land of Israel. Now that we're back in the land of Israel, does it still make sense, for example, to fast, right? We've been returned to our home. Does it make sense to continue to do it? And of course, most people still continue, even in Israel, with the tradition of fasting all the way through. But there is a concept called Mechorban Lebinyan, the idea of a sort of transformation from utter destruction to a sense of building. So in the case of the Holocaust, there is no way of just moving on to the next there. There is no Chorban Lebinyan in that kind of way. But if we think about what is the response in the end, besides just commemoration, besides just remembrance, besides just telling ourselves never again, what else is another important element? Is to show our life and our living, and in particular, as it is just Kismet, right? But to realize that in 2 weeks, to come back into our community, into our temple, to be reconstituted in our place. In so many ways, it's hitting me in a different kind of light tonight, right? It's realizing that we are not just here. We didn't just survive. We are taking the mantle and taking the memory of those who didn't get the chance to live the lives that we're living. We hold them and we bring them with us. We bring them with us into the present and then into the future. We ensure that as much as we are capable in this community of ensuring that Jews will be a part of this community for another 120-something years and another 120-something years after that and so on. That when those in the world try to take us away, to take our lives, to take our identity, to take our home, to take our homes, we say, no. We stand up and we say that we are going to be here today and tomorrow and the next day. And what a remarkable statement that ultimately is to make together, tonight and every night and every day as a community together. So just some thoughts through my mind. But more than that, gratitude again to our honored speaker for this evening, to Judy. Thank you again for being here with us. And really, we hope very much when the temple is really open, you'll come back and we will give you a proper welcome there as well. And I want to, of course, thank all of those that helped us for our tekes, for our Haskarat Neshamot, our remembrance, candle lighting, for all of you and the different things that you do in our community. We thank you as well. And of course, Cantor Kevin, who steps in all situations to give us a sense of musical balance to our feelings and to our varied emotions. A few important announcements. The first is, of course, to join us for Shabbat services. One of the last, I should say, here at the Old Whalers Church. Cantor Kevin and I will be here tomorrow morning, 9:30, and Howard. You can join us, right? Very much. Right here in the chapel of the Old Whalers. And I just want to point out that actually, because next Friday night, just a reminder, we'll be Zoom only. The church has a concert here that evening, so our last service actually in this space on a Friday night is tonight. So it's, as I said, it is sweet, right? It's very sweet, but I won't call it bittersweet, but simply a moment of pause for us to reflect, especially those of us that have spent some considerable time in this space, of what a remarkable gift it was from this community of the Old Whalers Church to give us this space and to be here and to be, as I said, to continue. Let nobody take even a moment to take that for granted. Nobody should take that for granted. As a quick note, for those of you that may feel like you really will miss this place a lot, I'm very honored that I've been asked to give the sermon on the service Sunday, April 30th, here in the church service. So if you happen to be in town, it'll be a first for me in this way, but I will do my best to express the gratitude of our community. And we will do this in other ways to the Old Whalers for everything that they have done for us. So anyway, that was a long way of saying, reminder again, next Shabbat, Friday services are Zoom only. Saturday morning services, however, will be in person. You can join me and Kevin and Howard again right here. And then on May 5th, we will celebrate our first Shabbat together in our beautiful and renovated and rejuvenated home. And we're going to do that, we hope, weather permitting, in a very wonderful way. And that is to join us here at the Old Whalers Church, and we will process, starting at 5 o'clock, over to the temple, carrying our Torahs and dancing and singing and having a great time all together. And if you can't join us in person, right, our services will be streamed at 6 o'clock as well, so everybody, no matter where you are in the world, you can join us. And again, a really big thank you to all of the people who have helped to make it happen, all of you, and I'll especially point out Neil, because I have to, for all the hard work that he does and continues to do. I have a wonderful team, right? Boy, Neil, in all the years I've known you, I've taught you such humility. This is really unbelievable. This is the problem. We don't have a camera to see your reactions to things. You'll trust me, he's laughing. Okay, so a few other important things. This Sunday, weather permitting, because I'm told it may get a little hairy on Sunday, 11 o'clock on our Long Beach here parking lot closest to Noyak Road, the Temple Social Justice Committee will be gathering together to do a beach cleanup as part of the Great East End cleanup. So again, the wonderful work of our SJC community, and just keep your eyes posted for announcements. If it's really bad weather, I imagine there will be a backup plan of sorts, but let's hope for the best, right? Let's hope for the best. Also, a reminder that on Monday, Nimitz will be meeting at 11:30, my Heschel class virtually meeting at 12 o'clock, 3:30 Hebrew school as well. Also, a reminder that next Tuesday is Yom HaZikaron, Israel's Memorial Day, followed immediately by Yom HaAtzmaut and the celebration of Israel's 75th birthday, which is amazing. I'm looking around and realizing there were a few people in the room who were with me for Israel's 70th birthday when we were in Yerushalayim, having a great time. Some people stayed out pretty late. I won't point at any Brad Tepper. I was already asleep, but a wonderful thing. It's amazing to think 5 years have gone by. So I think those are all of my announcements. And again, thank you, Judy, and thank you, Shelley, for making all the arrangements, and really wishing everyone a very, I hope, meaningful Shabbat, and Shabbat certainly of Shalom, of peace. So, Cantor, can you help us to close out our service tonight before we do Kiddush?
Absolutely. In thinking that this was and is our last Friday night service here, we typically don't say Tfilat Haderech when we're going, we say it when we're going out on a journey, not exactly when we're returning home, but I still thought it'd be really nice to both think about, the memories that we have had since we've been here and all that all where we have come and now where we are going. And so in that vein, we're going to do Debbie Friedman's Tfilat Haderech, which can be found on page 649. Blessed as we go on our way, may we be guided be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. May we be sheltered by the wings of peace. May we be kept in safety and in love. May grace and compassion find their way to every soul. May this be our blessing. Amen. 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 May this be our blessing. Amen. Last time. Amen. Amen. May this be our blessing. Amen.
We'll rise for Kiddush on page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam b'horei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon inchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh Zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, ve'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon, inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen.
Okay. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. And we'll do a motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
Just a word about the challahs. I think normally we have challahs to give out, but I think our challah delivery people were so excited for us to get back in the new building, they delivered it to the new building, and then the workers ate it, which is great. So we might have to share a little bit more, but all good things as it were. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Get home safe.